Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of May I Interrupt? My name is Craig Norman, and I'm the co-host of this ongoing podcast. My partner in crime, Dr. Jason Jedlicka. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a little quieter here.
Yeah.
The show's wrapping up.
Yeah.
I can hear you a little better today.
Yeah.
But it's been an amazing show. Thanks in large part to your efforts, both of you.
Yeah.
So
Mostly Ashley.
Mostly Ashley, right? But
So I agree. All of a sudden, it's going to be in the rearview mirror in a couple of hours.
I know,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So we want to welcome our guest for this episode, Dr. Ashley Tucker. She comes to us from Houston, and I'm not going to tell you any more about her because we want to hear it in her own words.
All right, great.
And so, Ashley, if you could, can you tell us a little bit about your, we like to call it the journey,
The journey.
on how you ended up here today?
Right here. All right. So let's go way back. I'm a Louisiana girl. A lot of people get confused with that because I went to the University of Florida. So
Right.
people wonder, well, how'd you get there? You know. But anyway, University of Florida for undergrad, and then University of Houston College of Optometry School for optometry school, obviously. And then I did a cornea and contact lens residency under Dr. Judy Perrigan. I know, wonderful lady. Then I ended up doing a one-year academic term under Jason Nichols and Kelly Nichols in their Ocular Surface Institute, doing clinical research, which I never thought in a million years I'd be doing, but that was a great one-year term.
Yeah.
But I realized shortly after that private practice is where I really wanted to be. So I ended up in one of the practices that I interned in.
okay.
I ended up working there and then became a partner in that practice 5 years later. So that's that. Fast forward several years, Jason reached out for me to do some contact lens spectrum writing and that sort of thing. So we have a relationship in that regard. And then there came an opening on the planning committee, and I think they needed a female replacement. So that kind of narrowed the pool of people. But I'm honored to be on the planning committee. I've been doing it for 2 consecutive years now.
Yeah. They needed a good replacement.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
But I think in many ways you really are an ideal person to be on the committee because you do bring the private practice side.
That's true.
You bring the residency side, the research side. So it's good because this meeting encompasses all of that.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I've been coming to this meeting since my residency. So many years, 15 years now. I haven't missed. I did a residency, almost 15 years, 2010.
Yeah.
Wow. Time flies.
Time really does fly. But it's amazing to see what goes on behind the scenes. You know, you come as an attendee, and you just, everything just magically falls into place. But being behind the scenes, it's quite a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yep.
That it actually happens at all is the magical part.
Oh, I know. That it all comes together.
That is great. So let us know, so what exciting is happening in your practice these days?
Oh, gosh. So on top of doing specialty contact lenses and myopia management, those are my 2 passions in practice. In the last 2 years, I've taken on several clinical trials.
Okay.
So that's been fantastic. You and I talked a little bit about the potential of doing that, but most of them are involving myopia management. So ortho-keratology. I have a couple going on with soft contact lenses as well. And then one really cool one that's dealing with myopia management spectacles. So that's that's a side of my practice that I never knew I would be excited about, and it's come full circle because I did research with Kelly and Jason, during my or right after my residency, and never revisited it until in recent years. So it's a different side of things that I, again, never knew I would love, but I do.
Yeah.
I really
That's the beauty of optometry, though, is you have all these opportunities. And that research you did, you probably didn't realize the doors that would open, but the prestige it brings to your practice to be doing these things that no one else in your area knows what's going on, and you're the first. And I love that part. When I was in practice too, we did a lot of clinicals for companies, and we tried products, and we had experience with things before anybody else
did,
so it's kind of a fun feeling.
It is. It really is.
So how difficult is it in private practice to recruit for a myopia management study?
I would imagine for the general practitioner, very difficult, but we see 50% kids. So I have 2 partners, and those 2 partners mainly focus on binocular vision, vision therapy, vision rehab. So we have a pool of patients that was very, very easy to recruit from, just because, maybe not necessarily the VT patients, but they have siblings that also come to our practice. So it wasn't hard at all.
Well, it's crazy. It's almost like saying, I want to be specialized in irregular corneas, and you work with 2 cornea specialists.
Yeah.
So having pediatric specialists and being able to provide, that's great.
Well, it helps, because when I think of Houston and think of myopia studies, I think of how difficult it was to load in, the studies that were done by David Bernstein and done along with Jeff Wallin. They couldn't get the study loaded for years. Like, they figured they'd get it loaded in 6 months.
Yeah.
And
I think people's awareness is just completely different.
It's different now. Right.
Back then, there was probably no awareness, and so a lot of hesitation. Now I'd love to be in a study for that.
So. And what really I think made people really excited, and this is kind of weird, but the COVID vaccine with kids, a lot of parents, they became more aware of clinical trials, and they're excited to be a part of something bigger than them. So I have a lot of kids that were in those vaccine trials that the parents are now seeking other trials for their kids to be.
Wow, that's an interesting.
I know. I really was shocked by that, really. I was shocked that people put their kids in a trial like that, but so now my benign trial of spectacles is no big deal to them, because they've done other things.
Right. So can I ask you a question about the spectacles? What's holding them up?
Oh my gosh, I wish I could tell you the answer to that.
How many more years
do we have to wait?
Happen?
I know, and that's part of the reason why I took this trial, because I was so tired of saying or hearing next quarter. I wanted to be a part of whatever was happening behind the scenes, recruiting patients, getting things moving, because everyone's desperate to have that piece of the pie. And we're lacking. We really need that to
We look at our Canadian friends. They're like 3 years in.
And our Asian friends who have tons and tons of options. Why can't we get one?
Right.
So, given your experience with that, how do you envision it integrating into the whole package of when we have it?
Oh, I know. I have so many parents that are very leery of an eye drop, so leery of a contact lens. So it'll be amazing to have this for younger kids, and then for parents that just don't want anything in or on the eye, because it's still very challenging to get parents to believe that their 6, 7, 8-year-old can wear a contact of any kind.
Right.
So for those younger kids, I think this will be a game changer.
I completely agree, especially for that incipient myope, the one who's still sitting at plano maybe, but there's a family history. There's an axial length, which is already a little bit, and they're 5 years old and they're already at plano. Right. What do you do for them now? You're not putting them in contact lenses.
There's no motivation.
Nothing to correct.
Yeah, exactly.
You put them on atropine, but again, what if you don't? So this is an option, and of course with the myopia control spectacles, you could put someone in a plano prescription
with the defocus.
Exactly. And so I think that will be another tool that is filling a void that already exists beyond those who would choose it over the other options anyway. Yeah, it's great.
All right. Is there any worry on the spectacle side that now we're introducing the optician to be part of the system to make sure that the spectacles
there's another margin of error there. I know.
The way that they should be, getting the optics in the right place. And
but isn't that play into what you want to do as a myopia management practice, is to say, these do require, we have opticians that are trained in these.
Right.
It's going to keep those patients in your practice rather than have them walk with their prescriptions somewhere else. So
in my practice, we have 6 opticians, and we're constantly evolving, constantly trying new things. And it's naive of us to think that they'll be as excited as we are with something more technical, dealing with little kids, but I think we can get them on board and excited. But you're right, there is an error there that we have to make sure that we avoid when making these spectacles and designing them just right. But we can get my team rallying around it.
I think some opticians would look at it, and if they want to practice their trade at a high level
at
like
the
you
highest
do,
level, right?
then they would look at it and say, well, no one else in town is doing this.
Right.
Correct.
We are, it sets them apart. So
Right.
I think the prestige of being able to do that, again, for a clinic like yours where you probably have opticians that take great pride in the quality of their work.
They do.
I think they would embrace that. Yeah, hopefully they will.
Hopefully they will. They will. They will.
Yeah.
For sure.
So did you have any particular takeaway from the meeting this year that you thought was fascinating or interesting?
Okay, I absolutely loved the last poster that was presented yesterday. The days are running into each other. I think it was yesterday by Dr. Morrison. She presented a case on customizing soft lenses with more than one base curve, so to speak. Yes, for post LASIK, post ortho-k types of patients.
Utilizing like scleral topography to get the whole.
Yes, and that really resonated with me because I have so many patients in that position, mostly post ortho-k, that don't want to go back into contact lenses, and they really have to, and then their only good options are scleral contact lenses. So it's going from nothing to the most, I don't want to say complicated, but in their minds it is. So the option of a customized soft lens would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and not just to have a customized soft lens option but to actually be able to get it to fit right, because otherwise it's a bit of guesswork.
It is.
You kind of have to put a lens on, see if it moves.
Yeah.
I mean, they've always been a little challenging to get to work well. So that is great information she gave about how to make that happen.
And I've had so many people comment on our session yesterday about the controversies that we put out there. So lots of people are interested about the conflicts of interest, that conversation that we had.
Yeah.
And then the statements we were making about off-label use of myopia management strategies.
Right.
That's always a hot topic, I'm getting a little pushback by some companies, and other companies are like, yes, I'm so glad you said that, but
Well, you got to get it out in the open for discussion.
Yes.
And actually I was saddened that we didn't get to the next case that you were going to present.
The contact lens rule. I was so excited about that one.
I know, me too. And I actually misread when we had to finish. We could have probably done it.
Could have gotten it. It's okay. Next time.
So
we'll
we
table
wanted
it for next time.
to look at the new FTC law regarding prescriptions.
Yes.
And the fines. I was amazed. I thought the fines were $25,000.
Oh.
You said they're $51,000.
$51,000.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
max
crazy.
fine, but still.
That would have got people's attention.
It really would have, because I really don't think people are doing what they're supposed to with that, because it is such a pain in practice.
Correct. I don't think so on the manufacturer side, or that, let's say, the online sales side, are they doing it? And I don't think on the practitioner side, are they abiding by it as well.
But it's only going to take one fine, and it's going to wake everybody up.
Oh my gosh.
So my understanding is they've levied a number of fines.
Have they really?
already.
Yeah. But we need to get that out in the open at a meeting like this at some point, though, because it definitely will raise some ears to that case that I was going to present, because it's every day dealing with patients like that.
Right. Yeah, I thought that the conflict of interest discussion would have been more vivid, though. I
had a couple people say, well, we didn't get closure on that. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about it.
Closure.
So what's the answer?
This is not a psychology convention.
Right.
But I do think people want to know what they should do in those scenarios. In my opinion, just basically, we probably should talk what we're talking about. So the question is whether those of us that lecture and write should be disclosing that to every patient somehow, especially when it presents a conflict when fitting contact lenses.
Sure.
So that's a tricky one. Do you have an opinion on that, Jason, before I go into mine?
I mean, I think it's actually probably not a bad idea. I'm not sure we need to sit and verbalize it to every patient.
No.
But just like we have our HIPAA practices posted somewhere in the office, and we direct patients, if you want to look at them, here they are.
Right.
Perhaps some type of disclosure within your office where the patients have the opportunity, if they really want to know.
Right.
I don't think it's a bad thing. And I do think that I've long contended, though, whether you have an interest in it or not, though, you always have a financial interest in everything you do.
Right.
So, you're going to recommend glasses to a patient. You may not have a financial interest in the company that makes the glasses, but you sure got a financial interest in selling that pair of glasses.
This is true.
I mean, we all would have to disclose then that we all make money off of everything we do. So I don't know.
I know.
I think that going back now, I think, you know, the idea of lecturing and having a financial interest in something that's small is probably a fraction of what your real financial interest is. So I don't know.
That's a good perspective.
So, but I want you to tell for our audience your story, but in this case.
Yeah. So I had a patient who really would benefit from a lens that the company that I lecture for manufactures. So I was so excited to tell the mom that I lecture for this company. I believe in this product so much that I fit it so much that they've asked me to lecture. And she just looked at me like, what? And I seriously thought she would be excited and proud of me, perhaps, that, you know, she believes in this product, that the company wants her to speak back on behalf. And she goes, so you mean to tell me you have some sort of financial interest in this company? I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. So I really had to just turn that conversation around. And ultimately, it ended well. But she looked at that as a negative, and I really didn't anticipate that at all.
I don't think most people would look at it as a negative, but you found somebody who did. And that, I guess that gives you a different perspective now that,
Yep. So
this isn't always a positive.
Right, and that was the first and only time that I ever said that.
Sure.
So, you know, so the first time I said it ended up backfiring, so I've just never said it again. But that was my form of disclosure in a way, but...
I know that for me, clinically, when I was active in practice, I always felt the patients loved that I was involved in this other stuff.
Yes,
right?
You would think...
They wanted to hear about
it, yes. I've had many patients say, oh, I saw this on YouTube, or I saw you do this, and those patients are proud, and that's the thing that I would have thought would have happened in that scenario, and it was okay. I salvaged that relationship, but that was the naive side of me that I just had to take a step back and see it from her perspective. I totally understood.
Yeah.
Totally understood.
I love this idea about putting something on the wall, though, like a HIPAA explanation, right? I mean, it's there, and it's open, right?
Yeah, and again, probably most people would think it's a positive.
They would.
And so it's actually may work to your benefit more often than not. To say,
Yes. But that was also one of those moms that was what would be considered a helicopter mom that overanalyzes everything. So, again, I thought it would help the case, but
interesting.
It's all good.
Is that worse than a soccer mom? Or
I think
where does that go
worse
on the scale?
That's definitely worse than a soccer mom. Soccer moms bring snacks, they're happy, bring Gatorade. Helicopter, totally different. Totally different.
They accuse the 16-year-old referees of tanking the game.
Totally.
Yeah, there we go.
Totally true. My kid didn't do that.
Really? Would never do that.
So what do you think going forward? What's the next thing that's going to excite you about our field?
Oh, gosh. An expansion of... myopia is my love. So expansion of products that will open up the world for every kid in an affordable way. Like that is the biggest barrier, is the fact that this is not standard of care and the price tag is so high for the practitioner. You know? So I would love to be able to positively impact every little myope, you know, better than we can right now. And just the awareness out there.
Yeah, I mean the whole field is really in its infancy in many ways. We have soft lenses, we have drugs, but we don't have the same level of healthy lenses we have for non-myopia management kids. We are giving them compounded drugs as opposed to drugs that are made in a refined, repeatable setting that maybe are formulated in a way where a lower concentration provides a higher benefit. It's going to really evolve and become better and better, I'm sure.
I hope so.
And you're going to be part of that.
Related to this cost thing, I often wonder how different it would be, if at all, but I think it might. if Brian Holden was still alive. Because Brian's mission was what you just said. And he had figured out how to get $3 eyeglasses made complete.
Yes, true.
And distribute them through Africa.
Optometry Giving Sight was his his foundation.
And that, he was on this mission about myopia. And he wanted to be able to do it in the most inexpensive possible way to get it to the masses.
Wow.
Yeah. He probably would have a lot to say from the podium about where we are.
Yeah.
In good ways and in ways that perked up some ears too.
Yeah.
True.
Well, the year that he died, he did present here talking about EDOF when everybody was wondering what's EDOF, right? And so I thought that interesting.
That was,
So Jason, we're nearing the end of this segment. Do you have a last question or two?
I was going to ask you kind of what you just asked Craig, but think back to your practice and fast forward now to the next 10 years of your career, other than myopia, where and not necessarily in practice, but just in optometry in general. What things do you kind of look forward to or wish you could get more involved with? Other than planning meetings.
Planning meetings. Oh gosh, that is a great question. Another love of mine is educating. So I love being able to impact students and have them in my practice. I would like to expand within my practice the internship program that we have. We have 1 or 2 come per semester. Fourth years. But we have 6 doctors. So we could have more of an impact on the graduating students, because they don't come out, like we've heard this weekend, with a lot of knowledge on specialty contact lenses, and I do a ton of them. So I would love to just have more of an impact on the students and expand the education that they're getting in a private practice setting.
So you have an amazing practice too, to that intern who really does have a pediatric interest. They have an opportunity to see full scope pediatric care. You have a really unique practice, and I would agree that, I'm not going to say you should take more students,
well, I would,
but you should really try to do as much as you
GPLI
can.
is trying to get specific sites that do specialty contact lenses.
Correct. Yep.
So that's in the works. So I'm hoping that becomes a bigger thing than it is right now.
Well, I think you would be such a great mentor to students and be very influential in their lives. So.
Thank you, guys.
So I have one last question,
Sure.
and you can answer it quickly. But
Okay.
with everything you do, how do you manage the work-life balance?
Oh, that is hard. That is so hard. For example, my daughter has her first volleyball tournament tomorrow. I was going home at 5 a.m. I'm going home today.
Yeah.
So you just have to align what makes you feel good. And I love this meeting. I love you guys. But my family needs me. So I just have to follow my gut and do what's right for me from time to time. So
and you don't have to make any excuses.
You don't. No. And that's something that I've had to grow into and realize that it'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned as I got on with my career was how much easier it got to be to say no.
To say no.
Yes.
We want you to do this. No.
Not this time.
Not today.
Ask me again later, but not right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, because of your great efforts, this is not just a placeholder.
It is not.
This is yours.
This is going into my office on Monday.
Much wanted. May I interrupt?
Well, rumor has it we are down to our last 3. They've all been taken up this meeting by people who want
it
them,
is a hot commodity.
It is a hot commodity.
Yeah, I know. I snuck down and took a bunch of them back to the room myself.
Oh, okay. Now I know where they all went.
Right. So, a little thank you.
I so appreciate
participating today.
Another little thank you. I'm not sure how much you golf.
A decent amount, more than you might think.
So maybe we have a couple sleeves of balls then.
Sure.
But some May I Interrupt golf balls.
Thank you.
Oculus sponsored.
Yes.
Guaranteed to stay in the fairway.
Stay in the fairway.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
So thank you.
I appreciate it.
And thank you for those of you that are listening and watching our edition of May I Interrupt with Dr. Ashley Tucker. Please stay tuned to more episodes coming in the future. Take care.
Bye.